And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Auburn Undercover podcast. Here after Hugh Freeze's press conference, we're doing our recruiting show out here. Kind of a fun, different vibe. Plan is to do the recruiting pod on Tuesdays this year. Might not be every Tuesday, depending on guys, hitting the road, travel, stuff like that, what recruiting is happening. But the plan is to have it on Tuesdays. Might be here, might be online, whatever. But welcome in. We do have some good news to talk about today. Jason, last Thursday, it was the 21st, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Bralan Womack, the number one safety in the country, commits to Auburn, something that we had been expecting for a while there. Auburn kind of flipped Ohio State, who had the momentum for a long time there throughout the spring, throughout the early stage of his recruiting process. Florida was in the mix as well, as was Texas A&M, but he ends up committing to Auburn, number 13 player in the country. I mean, we talked about it last week. You can't really overstate how big of a recruiting win that is.
Yeah, it's huge, and I mean, for a number of reasons. I mean, obviously continuing some momentum that you built in the state of Mississippi just a few weeks earlier with Jace Matthews, and so you continue that. This is one of the top players in the country, and you look at who you beat out for that, and that's what a lot of people focus on those things. You look at Ohio State, Texas A&M, Florida, Ole Miss. I mean, like, you start talking about the programs you win in this one, and it's a big deal. And so, yeah, it's huge. Continue to kind of climb a little bit in this class, and we've talked about it. Look, this is not going to be a class where Auburn signs 28 to 30 guys in this class because there's so many freshmen and sophomores on this roster.
It might not get above 20.
You might make it at 20. But you look at the quality of this one, and Auburn is 16, 17, I believe, in average star rating in this class. And so you're getting quality players. And I mean, brother, he's as good as there is in the country. If you talk about just football player alone, you look at him, and he's a guy, like, if you put him on offense, he can play wide receiver. Put him in nickel, he can play. You put him in corner, he can play. He can play safety. Special teams. These are the kind of guys that when you look at this current team and you think about all the guys that fit that mold in the secondary right now, it's another piece that you put in that secondary group to add to what is already a deeper. These are the kind of guys that you win football games with, and I think it's a huge deal.
Yeah, our scouting team, Gabe Brooks, Hudson Standish, Andrew Evans, those guys, I mean, they have Womack higher than any other safety, number one safety in the country. Got to see him in San Antonio at the Navy All-American Bowl. They do kind of a story whenever there's commitments across the country where I don't know how to properly phrase it, but in impact rating for that school, what does it do for that school? And they had Womack as a 9 out of 10 as a game changer.
Yeah.
And I can't disagree. I mean, you look at what this safety room has, it's not like they need him, but he's an instant impact guy. He will play as a freshman, most likely in some sort of role, even with Eric Winters, even with Anquan Fagans, even with Kenzie Faustin, even with all those guys.
Caleb Harris.
With all those guys, he will find a way to get on the field because that's just how talented he is.
This is what you do. And so we're kind of having to get trained a little bit in the thought process of this, because for so long we were used to Auburn going, well, we got our quarterback. Now we won't worry about another quarterback. Well, we got a running back. We're not going to worry about another. We got this guy. That is not how this staff works. They're like, look, we got wide receivers. You know what we need? We need more wide receivers. We got defensive backs. You know what we need? Better ones. The goal is to always go recruit somebody that you think may be better than the guy you got right now. That's the goal. Sometimes you miss, but you have to aim that way. And this staff does that, and you go get one of those guys, Bralan Womack, and now you're looking to go, look, there's still people left on the board. And here's the thing. The board is not who's not committed right now. The board is anybody, because anything can happen between now and December. That's the way it goes. And so you go win games. Who knows what happens with all the paperwork and official offers, all these things that happen between now and December. There is a whole lot to happen between now and then, but this is another good step for this class as you continue to move forward.
Yeah, you pair Womack with Wayne Henry, and something that Hugh Freeze mentioned in one of his fall camp press conferences was, look, it's going to be a roster closer to like 60 guys are going to be your revenue share guys, and then your 105, I think that's technically what it is now. Yeah. You're going to be filling out the rest with guys, developmental guys that you feel like have tools, have traits, can bring something to your team.
Yeah, but you'll be at like 85 scholarships, and you'll go the next 25.
A guy like a Wayne Henry, a guy who is at St. Francis, a school that you've recruited really heavily. You feel like he can fill a role in certain aspects as well.
And as a guy like this, you think as a guy has a chance to really improve and earn maybe more NIL more opportunities as he's on campus. Yeah, this is a mixture of trying to figure out, it's not necessarily all who makes the most money, but it's who has the most revenue potential maybe down the road too.
Exactly. So that's kind of what you're looking at. You're seeing these things start to take form in the 2026 class. You're seeing some top-end guys at receiver. You're seeing Jace Matthews, and then you're seeing them go after some guys like a Deshaun Spencer, stuff like that. So you're kind of starting to get a clearer picture of what this is going to look like. Jason, high school football has officially kicked off. It kicked off, a couple weeks ago for Georgia, technically. Alabama got started last weekend. Mississippi, I don't think those schools start until this next week.
I think.
But get going. So it's a chance for us to see some huddle highlights. We'll get out on the road here shortly as well. Not this Friday because Auburn plays at Baylor on Friday.
A little busy.
But getting to see some of those highlights. A couple guys caught our eye early. Peyton Falzone, Wilson Ziere. Look, we haven't gotten to watch everybody, so some other guys could have had some big games as well. But we'll start with Wilson Ziere. Raven Gap plays at Grayson, the reigning state champs over in Georgia, one of the most loaded teams in the country. We went to go and watch them practice, and it's just dude after dude after dude.
Everywhere.
D1 guys, SEC, Power 4 guys, all those guys. Going into that game, we're like, look, Raven Gap is good, but are they going to be able to hold their own? And Grayson was without Tyler Atkinson, their 5-star linebacker, without a couple guys, but there's still some really talented guys up front. And what we saw at Wilson Ziere was really impressive.
It was real good. I mean, you look at him and you see athleticism first and foremost. I mean, this is a big kid, but in the first play of his highlight tape, he's 50 yards down the field blocking somebody. And he's physical. He's finishing runs. I mean, he's a guy, and somebody asked me in my mailbag last week, who did I think had a chance to really improve their rankings as the season went on? He's the first guy I mentioned because you look at offensive linemen especially, the growth, the maturity. Normally those guys change as much as anyone from sophomore, junior to senior years as you get bigger and stronger. Wilson Ziere is a guy that looks every bit the part of an SEC offensive tackle.
He had 4 offers in January.
Yeah.
And they weren't Power 4 offers for that matter. So you look at how he's exploded, what he can do as a senior this year. Big chance for him. Then the other guy we wanted to single out, Peyton Falzone, Auburn's quarterback commit, had some impressive tape up there in Pennsylvania.
Really did, and he's a guy that's worked really hard on release point. He kind of had a little bit of a 3-quarter motion. He's getting a little bit up top, and man, he had some really good touch on some deep balls in his first game. The athleticism through the roof. This guy can really run, but he's standing in the pocket throwing the ball and did some really good things. So yeah, I thought he looked good, and that's a guy that has a ton of upside and feels like he's a great fit for what they want to do in this offense with his athleticism, ability to run, do all those things.
Yeah, Jason, one last thing I wanted to touch on was listening to, and we'll have some content off of the Talking Tigers podcast that Andy Burcham, our guy, hosts, the voice of the Tigers. Listening to his podcast that he did with Will Redmond, did with Kenyatta Watson, as Ashton Daniels is here. What's up,
Ashton?
Good?
How
are you guys?
Good,
Yes, sir,
good. Listening to his podcast that he was doing with Will Redmond and Kenyatta, and something that Will Redmond said was, look, all these commitments, they're happening so early, everything's getting advanced in the recruiting stages, but you're skipping out on 25% of the evaluation process. You're skipping out on the most important year, the closest they're getting to college as they continue to keep growing. Senior years are huge, and especially as we were talking about earlier, as you're going to be taking more potentially developmental pieces to fill out the back end of your roster, this time of year is huge. This is a huge chance. Guys are going to start to pop up on the board. You're going to be watching guys like Deshaun Spencer, Caleb Morris. You're watching the current commits, guys like Kentrell White, Wayne Henry, Eric Perry, guys like that. Seeing what happens, I think it was just a great reminder as I listened to it again earlier. The senior, it's 25% of the process. Like, people are just forgetting about it.
So probably in the mid-1990s, and especially in the 2000s, some that worked out for a national championship for Mac Brown when they had an elite game-changing quarterback. But for a lot of the time, they really struggled for times because they took commitments really early. Penn State kind of did the same thing. They were filling up their classes really early, and you miss out on a lot of players. You're right now, especially now, because you think about how many players might not stick around if all of a sudden they're not on the field year one. So it makes it even more vital to me that you're signing guys you think have a chance to get on the field early. Because when they don't, they may not be here. So the developmental side of things may come 2 or 3 years down the road. So yeah, I think the senior film, senior development, it's always been important. I don't know that it's ever been more important than it is right now.
Yeah, no, I would agree completely. Jason, unless there's anything else, I think we'll probably wrap it up there.
Yep,
for
good to
today's
go.
show.
A beautiful day.
A little cooler.
It feels
nice.
great. I think it's going to be only about 90 in Waco Friday, so maybe it won't be too bad out there.
You guys have fun with that.
Yeah, be good.
I'll be enjoying the air-conditioned couch
Yeah.
from home watching the game. But appreciate everyone for tuning in here on this podcast. We'll have more podcasts throughout the week. We've got our schedule all kind of planned out for this year in terms of what we're doing for shows, so make sure to check that out at auburnundercover.com. Still running our 50% off promo. As I promo that, I think we're coming up on a 75% off. So maybe if you're thinking about it, maybe just wait just a couple days. I think we're doing something to open up the season. So that'll be your absolute best time to join. That's the best deal we run all year. You can get a year-long subscription for less than $30. So definitely make sure to check that out. Wait for that. Appreciate everyone tuning in here. We'll catch you guys on the next one.